Every time I see the river, I always think of my preacher man. My name is Mila Gernon, and I'm an artist, and at the present time working a lot of folk art. This is what I'm working on. I've been working on since 2015. And I just call it my Preacher Man series because I called him the Preacher Man in my youth, who now is George West. I learned who he was just in 2015. I didn't know all those years, but he always fascinated me. But he, to me, is my Preacher Man. I used to see him when we would cross the river on the ferry back in the mid-50s, late 50s, coming from close to New Orleans to go see my grandfather who lived in Point Capee, and we would use the ferry and cross over here. And then cross back from port back over to Baton Rouge. And then one or two times I saw this man here, gentleman. He looked big to me, but he did look old. And so just fascinating as a kid. My mom always said I was very curious, and I guess she was right. But we saw him so many different times that he just never left me because I never could figure out what he did, because I knew he was different. I didn't paint to sell. But my very good artist friend from Memphis says, you have to develop this. This is too good not to develop. And I'm thinking, he's just my preacher man. So I did, and then she put me in touch with Mosaic Garden in Baton Rouge, and they wanted to hold the work. So that's why I paint now sometimes to replace what they sell, but I never started out to sell. I just wanted to paint. And I still just want to paint. I used to work in oils and pastels, but since I started back painting, I've worked in mostly acrylics because that's what all the other artists are doing these days. So that was a big change. I usually paint the same color palette. To me it's soothing, but it's my colors. To me they're water, and everything's around the water. My father worked on the water. Water is just wrapped around my family in some kind of way or another. So it's been a really pleasant journey, very fulfilling, because it wraps up so many memories. It wraps up about my family together, traveling with family. It wraps up the fact that we went to visit my grandfather, and then we came back over, and then seeing the state capitol, and then seeing the ferry itself with the big engine, because my father worked on engines. And so he would explain how the big wheel worked in the ferry. So all of that reminds me, I think it will always be part of me, part of my memory, because I gained it at such an early age. So I guess, I don't know how you describe that as a process, more than something that just developed over the years, and I finally put it down on canvas.